Emmanuel sits in Attorney Morrison's office, the leather chair cold beneath him, watching his older brother Nathan and younger sister Victoria exchange confident smiles across the mahogany conference table. They're dressed expensively, Nathan in a tailored Armani suit, Victoria in designer everything, while Emmanuel wears the same black suit he wore to both funerals 6 weeks ago. His parents died within days of each other, his father's heart giving out just 72 hours after his mother's stroke. The grief is still raw, sitting like a stone in Emmanuel's chest. Attorney Morrison clears his throat and begins reading the will. Nathan's portion, $15.5 million, including the vacation properties in Aspen and Miami, the investment portfolio, and the luxury car collection. Victoria's portion, $15.5 million, including the main family estate, the art collection, and controlling shares in their father's company. Emmanuel waits, his heart pounding, certain there's been some mistake in the math because surely his parents wouldn't. And to Emmanuel David Morrison, the attorney reads, his voice carefully neutral, the sum of $50,000 and the contents of safety deposit box 447 at First National Bank. Silence crashes through the room like a physical thing. Emmanuel feels his face go numb, his hands gripping the armrest so tightly his knuckles go white. 50,000. His siblings got $31 million, and he got 50,000. Nathan and Victoria exchange a glance. Not shock, Emmanuel realizes with dawning horror, but satisfaction. They knew. They expected this. His mother's best friend Diane, sitting near the back of the room, actually mutters loud enough for everyone to hear. Well, that's all he deserved after abandoning the family business. The words are a slap. Emmanuel had left the family real estate business 8 years ago to become a social worker, choosing a career helping foster kids over making millions flipping properties. His father had called it throwing away your potential. Apparently, this was his punishment. Emmanuel stands on shaking legs, the room spinning slightly, and walks toward the door. Behind him, he hears Victoria's laugh, barely suppressed, cruel. He's almost in the hallway when he catches Attorney Morrison whispering to his assistant. He wasn't supposed to be here for this. Emmanuel freezes. What does that mean? But Nathan is suddenly there, gripping his shoulder hard enough to bruise, steering him toward the exit. Let's not make a scene, little brother. Mom and Dad made their choice. Accept it with dignity. Except Emmanuel's parents had called him every single night in their final months. His mother had held his hand in the hospital and said, "You're my best boy. Never forget that." His father, despite their disagreements, had told him 3 days before he died, "You're the one who understands what really matters." Those weren't the words of parents about to disinherit their son. Something is wrong. Terribly, deliberately wrong. Emmanuel waits in his car until Nathan and Victoria leave the law office, their BMWs pulling out of the parking lot in a convoy of entitlement. Then he goes back inside. Attorney Morrison looks surprised and uncomfortable when Emmanuel walks into his office. "Mr. Morrison, I need answers. My parents called me every day in their final months. They told me they loved me, that they were proud of me. And you're telling me they left me $50,000 while my siblings, who visited maybe twice in 2 years, got $15 million each." The attorney's hand shakes as he reaches for his coffee cup. "The will is legal and binding. I'm sorry you're disappointed, but you said I wasn't supposed to be here for the reading," Emmanuel interrupts. "What did you mean?" Morrison's face goes pale. "I didn't say that. I heard you." They stare at each other for a long moment. Finally, Morrison's professional facade cracks. "Your parents left instructions. Private instructions for you. But your siblings," they intervened. "They said certain documents were outdated, that your parents changed their minds in the final weeks." The door slams open. Nathan storms in, his face flushed with anger. "What the hell are you doing back here?" He glares at Morrison. "I thought we agreed." "We agreed to nothing," Morrison says, his voice suddenly firm. Emmanuel has every right to ask questions about his parents' estate. Nathan points a finger at Emmanuel. "Stop bothering the attorney. You got what you got. Be grateful and move on." But Emmanuel sees something in Nathan's eyes, fear. His brother is scared Emmanuel will discover something. As Nathan tries to physically push him toward the door, Morrison slips something into Emmanuel's jacket pocket, a subtle movement Emmanuel barely catches. Outside, in his car, Emmanuel pulls out a folded sticky note with Morrison's handwriting. "Your parents set up something only you were meant to access. Check safety deposit box 447. Be careful. Emmanuel's phone starts ringing immediately. Nathan, then Victoria, then Nathan again. He ignores them all and drives straight to First National Bank. The banker, an older woman named Mrs. Chun who'd known his parents for decades, looks at Emmanuel with something like sympathy when he requests access to box 447. Your mother came in 2 days before she passed, Mrs. Chun says quietly. She seemed agitated, worried. She asked me to make sure this box could only be opened by you specifically. She pauses. Mr. Emmanuel, this box requires 2 keys. Your parents' key and your personal key. Your mother used hers 2 days before her death. Whatever she left, she wanted to make absolutely sure you'd find it. They go into the private viewing room. Emmanuel's hands shake as he inserts both keys and opens the box. It's empty except for a single envelope. His heart sinks. Was this just a cruel joke? But then he sees his mother's handwriting on the envelope. For Emmanuel, my true son. Inside the envelope is a letter, and clipped to it, a USB drive labeled in his father's blocky handwriting. Fight back. The letter is dated 3 days before his mother's stroke. Emmanuel, my beautiful boy, if you're reading this, something has gone terribly wrong. Your father and I created a new will 3 months ago, leaving everything equally to you 3 children. But Nathan and Victoria have been pressuring us constantly to write you out entirely. They say terrible things about you, that you're ungrateful, that you abandoned us, that you only want money. None of it is true. We know your heart. We've always known. If our estate has been divided unfairly, it means they got to the will somehow. They've tried before, forging signatures, pressuring your father when his medication made him confused. Son, don't trust anyone. Fight for what's yours. Not because of money, but because your father and I wanted you taken care of. We built our fortune together as a family. The others only showed up at the end. You stayed. You cared. You deserve everything we have to give. Love always, Mom. Emmanuel is reading through tears when a hand taps his shoulder. He nearly jumps out of his skin. It's Victoria, somehow having followed him to the bank. What are you doing here? Her voice is sharp. You can't. She lunges for the USB drive, but Emmanuel pulls it back. You weren't supposed to go digging, Victoria hisses. We handled everything properly. Don't ruin this for everyone. Handled what? Emmanuel demands. What did you do? Victoria's face is twisted with something ugly. We did what we had to do. Dad was confused at the end. He was going to give you too much. We corrected his mistake. You forged the will. It's not a question. Victoria's silence confirms it. A security guard appears in the doorway, attracted by raised voices, and Victoria retreats with a final venomous look. You're going to regret this, she throws back before disappearing. Emmanuel drives home on autopilot, checking his rearview mirror every 30 seconds, paranoid that Victoria or Nathan are following. At his small apartment, the one his siblings mock as the social worker's hovel, he locks every door and window before opening his laptop and inserting the USB drive. The first file is a video, dated 4 days before his father's death. Emmanuel's breath catches when his father's face fills the screen. His father looks frail, his voice weak but determined. Emmanuel, son, if you're watching this, then something went wrong. Your mother and I have been fighting with Nathan and Victoria for months. They want to cut you out of the will entirely because you disappointed us by becoming a social worker instead of joining the business. But son, you didn't disappoint us. You showed us what real success looks like, helping kids nobody else wants, fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. That's the legacy we're proud of. We built our fortune together as a family, but Nathan and Victoria have become greedy and cruel. If our estate has been divided unfairly, it's because they manipulated or forged documents. The proof is in the folder labeled Assets on this drive. Son, you will inherit everything equally. That was our final decision. Don't let them steal what's yours. Fight back. We believe in you. Emmanuel plays the video 3 times, his father's words both devastating and empowering. Then he opens the Assets folder. It's password protected. Emmanuel tries birth dates, anniversaries, every combination he can think of. Nothing works. Frustrated, close to tears, he tries one more thing, his father's old nickname for him since childhood. Captain. The folder opens. Inside are bank statements, documents about shell companies and offshore accounts, investment records, and one document that makes Emmanuel's heart stop. Primary beneficiary amendment, dated 6 weeks before death. All assets to be divided equally among 3 children, Nathan Morrison, Victoria Morrison, and Emmanuel Morrison. Signed by both parents, witnessed by attorney Gerald Pierce. This isn't the will that was read today. This is a completely different document, which means the one Morrison read was fake. Emmanuel is still staring at the screen when someone pounds on his door, so hard the frame shakes. Nathan barges in the moment Emmanuel opens the door, pushing past him without invitation. "We need to talk," Nathan says, his voice falsely sweet. "Victoria told me you went to the bank. You've been asking questions, making trouble. Emmanuel, you need to accept reality. The will is final. You got $50,000. That's more than generous considering you walked away from the family business. You should respect Mom and Dad's final wishes." "Final wishes?" Emmanuel's voice is cold. "You mean the will you forged?" Nathan's mask slips for just a second, pure panic flickering across his face before he recovers. "That's a serious accusation. You have no proof. I have Dad's video. The real will. Everything." Emmanuel shouldn't have said it, realizes too late he's shown his hand. Nathan's eyes go to the laptop on the coffee table, and he lunges for it. They struggle briefly, Emmanuel managing to shove his brother away and slam the laptop closed. "Get out," Emmanuel says, his voice shaking with adrenaline and rage. "Get out of my house before I call the police." Nathan stumbles back, his face red. "You weren't supposed to find the video. You were supposed to take your $50,000 and disappear like the ungrateful." He stops himself, but the damage is done. Emmanuel has confirmation. They knew about the video, which means they went through his parents' possessions looking for evidence against them. "What else did you steal?" Emmanuel demands. "What else did you destroy?" Nathan storms out without answering, but Emmanuel sees the fear behind the bluster. His brother is terrified of what Emmanuel might have found. After Nathan leaves, Emmanuel goes back to the USB drive and discovers a second video file he'd missed initially, labeled, "If They Betray Him." His hands shake as he clicks play. His father appears again, looking even more exhausted. "Son, if you found this second video, it means your siblings have done exactly what we feared. They've tried to change the will, forge documents, steal your inheritance. They already tried once while I was alive. We stopped them and created this backup plan. Emmanuel, you need to find attorney Gerald Pierce. He has the original documents we filed with him separately as insurance. Don't trust Morrison. He's too close to Nathan. Pierce has everything you need to prove the truth." Emmanuel finds Pierce's office number online and calls, but a woman answers, a nurse at Riverside Care Facility. "Mr. Pierce had a stroke 3 weeks ago," she says. "He's recovering, but he's been anxious. Paranoid. He keeps saying someone's after his files." Emmanuel's blood runs cold. "I'm Emmanuel Morrison. My father was Pierce's client. It's urgent I speak with him." There's a long pause. "The Morrison family? Oh God." Mr. Pierce said. "He said if you called, to tell you he's in protection, that your siblings threatened him." The nurse whispers now, clearly frightened. "Come tonight after 8. Use the back entrance. He's been so scared, Mr. Morrison. He has documents he said could destroy your siblings, but he was too afraid to do anything with them after they." The line goes dead. When Emmanuel calls back, no one answers. Emmanuel arrives at the care facility at 8:15 p.m., using the back entrance as instructed. The nurse, her name tag says Patricia, meets him in the hallway and quickly leads him to Pierce's room. The attorney is in his 70s, lying in bed with one side of his face drooping slightly from the stroke. But his eyes are sharp, clear, focused. "Emmanuel," Pierce's voice is slurred but understandable. "Your father trusted you. Not them. Never them." Pierce reaches under his pillow and pulls out a sealed legal envelope. His hands shake as he gives it to Emmanuel. Original will. Signed, witnessed, notarized. 3 ways equal split. Nathan, Victoria, they came here. Said if I gave this to anyone, they'd sue me for malpractice. Make sure I'd lose everything. Tears run down the old man's face. "I was a coward. Should have gone to police. But I'm old and scared, Anne." "You're doing the right thing now," Emmanuel says gently, gripping Pierce's hand. "This is enough. This will save everything." He leaves through the back exit Patricia shows him, the envelope clutched against his chest. As he reaches his car, he notices a black SUV parked across the street, 2 men in suits sitting inside, watching. Emmanuel's heart races. He pulls out quickly, and the SUV follows. 20 minutes of evasive driving through residential neighborhoods, and Emmanuel finally loses them, pulling into a 24-hour diner and locking himself in a bathroom stall to open the envelope. Inside is exactly what Pierce promised. The original will, dated 8 weeks before his parents' deaths, dividing everything equally among the 3 siblings. And paperwork establishing something called the Evergreen Fund, an investment account his parents started when Emmanuel was 5 years old, making monthly $10 contributions that grew to $47 million through careful management and compound interest. The sole beneficiary, Emmanuel David Morrison. His parents' life insurance and love letter to their son, who chose heart over profit. Emmanuel goes straight to a law firm specializing in estate fraud, a place his siblings have no connection to. The attorney, a woman named Sarah Kleinfeld, listens to his story with growing outrage, reviews every document, watches the videos, and finally sits back with a grim smile. Your siblings committed multiple felonies. Elder financial abuse, forgery, coercion, attempted theft. We're talking serious prison time if prosecuted fully. She pauses. But here's what's interesting, the Evergreen Fund. Your siblings tried to access it last week using forged authorization documents. The investment firm flagged it as suspicious and froze the account. They've already contacted the authorities. The next day, Sarah files motions to invalidate the forged will and criminal complaints against Nathan and Victoria. Within 48 hours, detectives are interviewing attorney Morrison about his role. Emmanuel learns that his siblings had pressured Morrison into reading a will they'd created by threatening to sue him for previous mistakes in their father's estate planning. Mistakes Nathan had actually fabricated. Morrison, scared and compromised, had gone along with it. Emmanuel's phone rings constantly, Nathan and Victoria leaving increasingly panicked messages. First they try anger. You're destroying this family. Then fake tears. Mom and Dad would be so disappointed in you. Finally, desperation. Let's talk. Please. We can work this out. Emmanuel ignores them all until Sarah advises him to meet with their attorney for what she predicts will be a very satisfying settlement discussion. The meeting happens in a neutral law office. Nathan and Victoria sit on one side of the table, their attorney looking distinctly uncomfortable. Emmanuel sits across from them, Sarah beside him radiating confidence. Their attorney opens with an offer. Your clients will provide Mr. Emmanuel Morrison with $2 million in exchange for withdrawing all legal claims and criminal complaints. We believe this is more than fair given. Emmanuel slides a USB drive across the table. This is my counteroffer. It contains copies of our parents' videos, the real will, documentation of your forgery, evidence of your attempted theft from the Evergreen Fund, and sworn statements from attorney Pierce and multiple witnesses. Take this to trial, and you won't just lose the inheritance, you'll lose your freedom. The attorney opens his laptop and watches 30 seconds of the first video before his face goes gray. He leans over to whisper urgently to Nathan and Victoria. Victoria actually starts crying. Real tears this time, not performative ones. Nathan sinks into his chair like a deflated balloon, all his bluster gone. We can't win this, their attorney finally says. Victoria storms out, unable to face the ruin of her schemes. Nathan just sits there, staring at the table, all the fight drained out of him. The probate judge reopens the estate case, and within 2 weeks, the truth is laid bare. Nathan and Victoria's forged will is invalidated. The real will, the one attorney Pierce preserved, is authenticated and enforced. The Evergreen Fund is unfrozen, its $47.9 million released to Emmanuel as his parents intended. Combined with his equal share of the estate, Emmanuel inherits approximately $58 million, while Nathan and Victoria's portions are reduced to their equal shares minus legal penalties for their fraud. Emmanuel sits in his apartment staring at the bank statement, the number so large it doesn't feel real. $47,893,202 in the Evergreen Fund alone. He breaks down crying, not from greed but from vindication, from the crushing weight of his parents' love finally understood. They'd been investing for him since he was 5 years old. Every month, faithfully, building a future for the son who valued people over profit. The son they knew would use money for good. His phone buzzes with a voicemail from Victoria. Emmanuel, please. We need help. The legal fees destroyed us. Nathan's business is bankrupt. We have nothing. I'm begging you. We're family. Emmanuel listens to it 3 times, feeling the complicated mix of anger and pity that comes from watching people destroy themselves through their own greed. He's spent his entire life helping people in crisis. Can he refuse to help his own siblings? The next day, Nathan appears at Emmanuel's door, not barging in this time, but standing quietly on the porch, holding something. It's their parents' old photo album, the one from the house. "I thought you might want this," Nathan says, his voice cracking. "It has pictures of all of us, when we were still a family. Before I ruined everything." Emmanuel takes the album, and they sit on the porch steps like they used to as kids. Nathan finally breaks, sobbing into his hands. "I was so jealous of you. Mom and Dad were always so proud of your kindness, your integrity. But I had the business success, the money, the respect. I thought that made me better. I thought I deserved more. And I was so wrong, Emmanuel. So horribly wrong. Can we fix this? Is there any way to fix us?" 6 months later, Emmanuel stands in the newly opened Morrison Youth Center, a state-of-the-art facility for foster children funded by his inheritance. Kids laugh and play in the recreation room behind him. Therapists' offices line one wing. Educational programs in another. Everything Emmanuel wished existed when he was a young social worker trying to help kids with nothing. His parents' money, their years of careful investment, now changing lives the way they'd hoped. Nathan and Victoria are there for the opening ceremony. Not as honored guests, but as volunteers. Part of Emmanuel's terms for helping them financially was that they'd spend 2 years working with foster kids, learning what Emmanuel had learned years ago. That success isn't measured in money, but in lives touched. Nathan is teaching business skills classes to teens aging out of the system. Victoria runs an art therapy program, discovering a passion for helping traumatized kids express themselves. They're not close the way siblings should be. The trust is too broken for that. But they're learning, healing, finding their way back to the values their parents tried to teach them. Emmanuel gives them monthly stipends while they rebuild their lives, and they're slowly repaying the legal costs they incurred fighting him. Not because he demanded it, but because Nathan insisted. "I need to earn my way back. I can't just be handed forgiveness." That evening, Emmanuel sits alone in his parents' old study in the family estate. The one Victoria had claimed, but had to surrender back to equal ownership. He's reading his parents' final letter, the one Pierce gave him, written together during their last weeks. "Emmanuel, our beautiful boy, you were always our compass. When Nathan chose profit over people, when Victoria chose status over substance, you chose to live with integrity even when it cost you everything. This money was never about wealth. It was about freedom. Freedom to keep doing the work that matters. Freedom to help others the way you helped us in our final months. If your siblings fought you for this inheritance, we're so sorry. We tried to protect you, tried to make things clear. But we also know this. You're strong enough to fight for what's right. You always have been. Don't doubt your worth. Don't let anyone make you small. Live boldly. Live kindly. And know that every dollar we invested was an investment in your beautiful heart. Love eternal, Mom and Dad." Emmanuel closes the letter with tears streaming down his face, but they're not sad tears. They're grateful ones. His parents saw him, really saw him, when his siblings only saw a disappointment. They valued his character over his bank account. They built him a foundation of love disguised as investment returns. The $50,000 in the forged will was an insult designed to humiliate him. The $47 million in the Evergreen Fund was a love letter that took 40 years to write. Emmanuel frames the letter and hangs it in the Morrison Youth Center entrance, along with photos of his parents. Beside it, he places a plaque. Mary and Richard Morrison believed that true wealth is measured by lives touched, not dollars accumulated. This center honors their legacy and their belief that every child deserves someone who sees their worth. On the center's first anniversary, one of the teenage residents, a 17-year-old named Marcus who arrived angry and broken, approaches Emmanuel after group therapy. "Mr. Morrison, can I ask you something?" Emmanuel nods. Marcus hesitates then. "Why do you do this? You're rich. You could be anywhere. Why spend time with kids like us?" Emmanuel thinks about his parents, about the inheritance fight, about his siblings' greed and eventual redemption, about every choice that led him to this moment. "Because a long time ago, my parents taught me that the only wealth that matters is the kind you can give away. And the only success that matters is the kind that helps others succeed. You know what they left me, Marcus? Money." Marcus guesses. Emmanuel shakes his head. "They left me a reminder that I was always enough. That choosing to help people wasn't a failure. It was the whole point. And now I get to remind kids like you of the same thing. You're enough. You matter. Your worth isn't determined by where you came from or what you've been through. It's determined by who you choose to become. Marcus nods slowly, and Emmanuel sees something shift in his eyes. The same shift he sees in every kid who starts to believe their story isn't over, it's just beginning. That shift is worth more than $47 million. It's worth more than proving his siblings wrong. It's the inheritance that actually matters. The ability to see worth in people everyone else overlooks. Emmanuel started with an insult, $50,000, when his siblings got millions. He ended with everything his parents wanted him to have. Enough money to live without worry, enough vindication to silence his doubters, and most importantly, enough clarity to know that his parents' real gift wasn't money. It was the reminder that he'd been right all along. That social work wasn't a waste. That helping people mattered. That character beats currency every single time. And standing in the youth center, watching kids who've been abandoned and overlooked finally getting the support they need, Emmanuel understands the deepest truth his parents were trying to teach. You fight back not by becoming like the people who hurt you, but by being so purely, completely yourself that their cruelty can't touch what matters most. He fought back. He won. But the real victory wasn't the money. It was staying true to who he was even when everyone said he was worth less. His parents knew better. And now, finally, everyone else does too.